Okay, this is GCN, and charted this last week, and this is the weekly chart. I've just got the bit of a trend channel there happening for us to have a look at, and we're at the moment trying to push our way through that. And so we'll just zoom in there and see what we can see. We've had some really high volume come in, so which has driven the price up, but we don't like volume so much on up bars because smart money typically sell on up bars, and when volume is high we know smart money are active, and even though there's buying in there, there's also a lot of selling. So whenever we see volume, all volume, high volume contains a lot of selling, and the market generally doesn't like high volume up bars for that very reason, and that's why it's come off. And it just looks like it's tested on this bar, and that test was confirmed by the next bar being up, but the volume is still very high on that bar. And I think what we need to do now is I would like to see us clear this bar completely, and that would give us some background strength where we can see they've pushed through that supply, then come back and tested it from above, and that would also take us away from this downtrend channel. So if we can clear that bar and do some testing on it, then we might get a good entry on the weekly chart. So we'll just have to wait and see. But we'll just have a quick look at the daily. Had a little speculative uptrend there, but within our downtrend. On Friday we had very high volume kick in as it went up, and that supply coming in now. It's closed well off its low, so there's a lot of supply in this bar, and it could be they're trying to absorb this supply over to the left, but we really don't know that. So we want to see that supply tested. We can see areas of high supply selling in these bars where they took it up and then it's come right off, and they've tested around this area here, not particularly good ones, but now it's moving back up into that area. But I don't like that really high volume. Is really we'd really want to see that tested, I think. But I think if we're looking longer term, we really want to take this really high volume bar out and test it, and that'll take us out of this. We'll be out of this downtrend, and B, we'll have some low supply, low selling in an area where we previously had a lot of selling, and we'd also have a confirmed higher low. See, we don't really have a higher low there yet. It's trying to form a higher low there, but we'll just have to see because of the high volume in that up bar. This could come off, and we want to see that higher low maintained as well. So we've got one higher low, and we're still really it's probably still a bit early to be calling it an uptrend yet. So clear that bar there at the 2.5 or the 2.2 to 2.5 cents, then the price, bring the price back. We'll watch for some testing back into that bar, and they will test. They don't like leaving that supply behind. If they're bullish and want to take it up, they'll bring it back and test, and then we can have a look for some entries there once we're out of this downtrend channel. It could be also that they may just that it may just go knock it sideways for a bit while they accumulate, and that would take us away from this downtrend as well. So that wouldn't be a bad thing either. So yeah, so that's one we can keep having a look at. Okay, this is GOR, Gold Road Resources, and we've had a couple of downtrend channels going here, and it's broken down out of the less steep one to form this rather steep downtrend channel on the daily chart, and it's been following that pretty much down. And what's happened this week? I've had some really high volume come down as it's had some sort of crash. But we get the last bar here, they spread narrow somewhat, and so there's a bit of buying coming in there as they try and support it. The next bar collapses further, and still very high volume. Hits the bottom of the trend channel that we had there previously, and then it's bounced, had a bounce. So there must have been some buying at the bottom here that has created the spring. So smart money typically buy on down bars, but as it's gone up, they've had really high volume, and it's an upthrust, so they're selling there. Whatever buying was in there, you can discount because of the highest volume bar is an upthrust, so they were selling in that bar. If that was all buying, it couldn't close on the low like that. But having said that, they did test the next bar, so that's a good sign, except next bar and it does go higher, but it's a no demand, so that's selling. That's really a short setup there, because you've got your high volume bar, really high volume bar here, that up thrusted on high volume, and then it's followed up by no demand. That's a short setup, and that will come off, no question about that. That's going to come down, and that will come down at least to test the lows of this bar and probably further. But there's a VSA, an example of a VSA short setup. You've got your high volume bar, price breaks down, they up thrust that volume, and it rejects, so that confirms that there's supply in there, there's within that bar, and it could possibly be that maybe they're trying to absorb back into that bar, but when the next bar there is no demand, again rejecting into the bottom of this bar, then you know, no, they're done, they're not pushing, they're done, they've sold out everything on this bar, and now they're just withdrawn from the market. So you got your volume, you got your up thrust, and you got your no demand, and that's an example of a VSA short setup, and we would short that if we, not that we short, I don't think you can short GOR, I'm not sure, but if it was one of the big guys, then I'd have no problem shorting that at all. That'd be a high probability a short setup. You'd have your entry just below there, and as it confirms, no demand has to be confirmed by the next bar down, so you have your entry below there or below the previous minor low, wherever you choose to do it, and that way you get filled as it you let the trade come to you, and you get filled as the no demand is confirming, and that would take you to the bottom of the channel probably, or at least to the within the body of these bars here. So that will come off. I'm quite certain of that, and you're still in your downtrend. You do have some potential strength down the bottom here, so we'll just have to see if that gets tested or not. But in a downtrend, we pay more attention to our weak bars, like no demand coming up. We have no demand, no demand. See narrow spread up bar, and we could short, any weak bars at the top of that channel you could short. And now we've got some really weak bars. We've got some strong bars, potentially strong bars turn up, but we've had this really weak up thrust bar here, followed by the no demand, and that's a short, and that will come off. So have a look at some high volume here. This is the bottom of this high volume bar is where it's supported before, so we'll just have to see if that can support again, and it hasn't quite been able to clear the high of that bar though, so we're just going to have to see what price does as it comes down to the low here. We'll test that low of 30 cents. I'm fairly certain of that. You can see some other high volume bars as target resistance. Well, we've got the close of that bar there, which is acted as support and now is acting as resistance. And but anyway, we can look at those if it wants to ever get back up there again, which hopefully it will. But at the moment, that's going to come down to the 30 cents, I think, at least, and then, you know, you've still got this downtrend channel that it's following and not showing us that it's going to be doing anything different. So that's a GOR. This is CCC, Continental Coal. I've just marked off some high volume bars that were hopefully going to act as support, but they've just broken through them all. We're now at new lows at the 16 cents. This has had a consolidation, so you're at all-time lows. If you look at that downtrend there, that's still well intact. It hasn't made any higher lows at all, or even higher highs. It's got a bit of buying coming in the bottom there and the price going up, so a little bit of buying there, but nothing really to write home about at the moment. I mean, it just looks, you know, there's not, you really want to see it start moving sideways and making a basing pattern to show us that there some accumulation happened, but there's just nothing. When the volume does kick in, it happens on the wrong bars. It's the volume kicks in on the up bars, but smart money sell on up bars and buy on down bars if they're going to be buying. So we've had the up bar, it's tested, but that test fails, which is itself a sign of weakness. Fails again, fails. I think someone was saying that there was a test on the daily, so I'll have a look at the daily chart there. There we go. It's just doesn't look good, does it? So we've had some high volume kick in at the bottom here as it's come down. Narrow spread there, so that's okay. And a narrow spread down, gone down further, then the selling pressure has come off, but it's really an up bar, so it's really a bit of no demand. Get volume kick in again. They could possibly be testing down into there. It's really low volume down within the body of this bar. It's closed towards the low, so we don't really like to see them close towards the low like that. Proper tests are really narrow spread like that, down bars. That's the sort of thing we like to see. But in an uptrend, when we see them in a downtrend, a test in a downtrend, it just move the price sideways for a bit. So in a downtrend, we pay more attention to our weak bars, like our up thrusts and our no demand, than we do to our strong bars. If it's trending down, the strong bars and your tests will just move it sideways a bit until they genuinely start accumulating. And you see that really high volume up bar there. Smart money typically sell on up bars. It's come right off, and it's just continued on the on this downtrend. What we'll be looking for here, if we saw this kick in here, is for it to clear that bar and then test on top of that, and it never did that. So that's why we don't buy these high volume up bars and get caught up in the excitement of whatever announcement happened there, because they're full of supplies, full of selling. Smart money sell on up bars. All that demand has to be supplied to, and it could be they're trying to absorb these guys here. But if that's the case, then we should see the price clear that area and come back and test it. And that never happened. So so again, there's a little tad of strength coming in the bottom here, but and you're still well in your downtrend, and you really want to see some higher highs higher lows now before we're really interested. And what we really want to see is it to make some sort of basing pattern now, just to get out of this downtrend that it's in. So it's really not one. I mean, there's a lot of easier stocks to trade or invest in. I mean, it's closer to zero than it's ever been before, so I suppose that's something. But it's not really showing us. It's just showing us that it's going down at the moment still, and not telling us anything different. And even the last bar was a higher, like a lower low and a lower high on the bar. So unfortunately, we'll just have to wait and see if it can start making some higher highs, higher lows and higher highs, or at least start moving sideways a bit on the weekly. And the weekly would be the chart I would be looking at for this stock. But anyway, that's CCC. Okay, this is FMG, and I'll just zoom in here a bit. And that looks rather unusual, doesn't it? This is the weekly chart. There's obviously our standout bar. It's an up thrust, so full of selling. And then it's followed by no demand, up bars, narrow spread, collapses down, and you get your narrow spread, up thrusts and no demands, and you get short. And you wouldn't want to be long this stock after that. You'd want to get out because that's all selling. That's professional selling. And you've got your up thrusts in there. You've got your no demands under there trying to get back up into the body of the bar. It never does. And you could have been short that stock, and even though it took a while to drop. You know, these high volume up thrusts are really, unless it clears that area and retests, they're really full of professional selling. So anyway, we can have a, probably put a, I'll just put on the horizontal line on the close of that bar. That'll be a resistance level. Then it's come down hard. It's had a collapse. Supply's kicked in. It's come down even harder again, but the spread is narrowed somewhat, so it's it is finding some support. We do have some high volume. There, no, it broke through that. I've got this one here. It was in a bit of a, looks like it was in a bit of accumulation there, so we can mark the high of that bar, 455. I might mark the low of that bar as well at 311. So it's had a bit of it's got a bit of an accumulation zone within that range of that bar, so I would imagine that's where it's going to come to. But there is some buying, or an attempt to buy there, I think. We'll just have to see if there's any hidden buying in there, because that the volume's increased, but the spread of the bar is narrowed. And we just might just have a look at the daily just to see if we can see anything more. So you got high volume down. This was the August shakeout. Let's collapse through that bar there. So there was, once it collapsed through that bar. Okay, so we got high volume down. We get less volume coming down, but then we get a no demand. Volume increases, it goes down, and we have a really narrow spread bar there that it's trying to support. And the last bar is an up thrust, which is a weak bar, so they're still selling, plenty of selling going on in this area, so that can go further for sure down. Just trying to, it's a bit hard to do a trend channel on it because it's broken. Oh. It's broken down below that and then up thrust the bottom of the channel, so that can go lower again. So I think having a look at that, I would imagine that it'll come within the range of this bar between the 455 and the 311, and hopefully find some accumulation within the range, that range there. But that looks like all your selling happened on that bar, and then it's started falling, and that could be, and sometimes when you see that selling, it can take a while for it to, it's gradually just got lower and lower highs, and then it's just collapsed. As the market's collapsed, there hasn't been any support because the guys you needed supporting it are gone. And yeah, and it's still, the last bar is still weak. Could potentially be strong, could potentially have some hidden buying in it where you might get a bit of a jump up, but I think they're going to accumulate within the range where they're accumulating previously, which is in the range of this high volume bar here where they push through. So that's something we can have a look at, I suppose, as it goes. We can watch for. Yeah, but there's nothing really. I mean, it's broken the 455. You got probably the close of that bar at 413, so it might support there. But there's still plenty of supply in this area, and that will yeah, there could still be the start of some accumulation happening in that bar because it's narrowed somewhat. But when they are accumulating, they'll try and get it as low as they can anyway, and I think that's it. We'll just see if we get a bounce next week and see, just to see what that looks like. But I think even if you did get a bounce, I think they'll try and push again. So we'll just have to see. We want to see that if it does bounce, we want to see that volume tested on lighter volume to let us know the selling's abated. But at the moment, it's not given us any confirmation that there's any hidden buying within that bar. And we're looking at, so we've got support at 311 and 413. If it gets down that far, we'll just have to see then. We've got your real low down there at oh, that's $1.10. We don't want to be looking at that, do we? But I think your next support is around the 413, and then the 311 under that. So yeah, I think that's about all we can say about that one. So that this is VOR. I've just marked off some high volume bars as support resistance. We've had this really high volume spiky bar that's closed on the low, full of professional selling. High volume tells us smart money are very active, because volume represents, most of the volume on the market represents the activity of the professional money, and then what price does on that activity represents the consensus of the professional money on the market. So high volume, smart money are very active alongside the herd. That was an announcement on that spiky bar. Can't be all buying because it's closed low. The herd are buying the announcement, as they do. But if the smart money, the professional money, who you need to support the price, are also buying alongside the herd, it wouldn't have closed low. So that's full of professional selling. And then the no demand trying to get up into there confirms it. Once it breaks the low of that bar, then it's then you know it's going down. And we've got this uptrending channel here we were having a look at, and it's had a bit of a bounce on an increased volume. I might get rid of this volume there so you can see that volume. It's tried to go up a bit. It's up thrust and really high volume, but so that's a weak bar, but they test immediately. and there's no selling in that test, and then the next bar confirms by going up, so that's quite good. So that looks like they're trying to absorb the supply from holders to the left then, if that's the case. So what we really want to see now is I would like to see that high volume bar there that we've cleared. I'd like to see it clear that area and come back and test on light volume now, you know, one of these coming down on top of that volume to possibly look at being a bit more bullish on the stock. The only problem I have with it is we're so close to this weakness here, and it's full of trapped holders now, and they will absorb unless the professional money, you know, it can go so far, but unless the professional money are supporting the move, you're not going to get through that area, because that's full of trapped holders who will just exit. You know, trap traders on the wrong side of the trade will just exit if they get the chance, if the price rallies up there. So but we do have a tad of buying in the bottom there. They've tested it and they've brought it back up. So we want to see testing now. I want to clear that area and see some testing on top there, and if that moves along a bit and comes back down, let's have a look. We've got a significant level there at the 7.8. Where did I get that from? That was probably that bar there, I think, or that bar there. But it's if we can clear that area completely and then test, have one of these narrow spread bars, the narrower the better. And you get some really narrow ones like there, really light volume, the lightest of 3 bars if you get them, but even something really light volume like that on top of that area, and the next bar closing up, we want to see these 2 bars a bit higher up on top of this tad of volume that's come in, and that would be a good place to look at possibly an entry. But the only thing I have against VOR at the moment is we don't have this sort of volume, climactic volume at the low to show us that smart money are buying the stock, and that would be my problem, apart from the fact that we're so close to the selling. I would really rather see us get away from that area for a little bit, because if we try to rally too fast into there, especially when we don't really have a lot of buying in the bottom, we have some, there's really, I can't see it getting past that level, and so we really need to spend some time in accumulation, I think, before you would be able to get through that level. So that would be my only problem, but I would probably be interested in any of this strong bullish action. Probably at the bottom of this trend channel would probably be your lower risk type entries, but you just got to bear in mind that you've got a lot of weakness behind you there and not too much strength coming in. You've got a little bit of buying there, and that may take you to the top of the channel, but I think you'll struggle getting through there. I think you'll need to accumulate a bit more to build a cause for an up move to push through this area of trapped holders, and you'll just get out if the price tries to rally through there. You need smart money to be supporting the move through that area, and to do that we want to see where they've accumulated and spent time accumulating and making an investment, because they expect higher prices. So, but anyway, the last week's actions are actually strong. So, it's on top. It's in the right spot on top of this trend channel. So, I suppose that'd be your risk at the moment if you're thinking of an entry. Would be the, the 6 cents roughly, or the top of this uptrend channel. So that's all I have to say on VOR at the moment. You've got your 8.8 as a resistance level, 6.6 support, 7.8 you have a support level there as well, or resistance level. You have the 9.8, which is the close of this high volume bar here, and then you have the high here at 12.5. And if we go further back, we have the 13.5. And so there are levels we can have a look at. Your mid channels at the moment, so that's probably the worst place to be thinking about an entry. Your more low risk entries will be the bottom of that trend channel. Yeah, but you just got to bear in mind that you're really close to this weakness at the moment, so we'll just have to keep an eye on that. But I would be looking at if it comes back to the bottom of this downtrend channel, then that might be an area worth looking at. So that's VOR.